Hello there, and welcome to this fast track video. In this fast track video, we're going to be teaching you about audio equipment. Each video is going to be very different, and it's going to dive deep into specific audio equipment. In these training videos, we're going to show you who uses this particular audio equipment, why it's used, how to use it, as well as specific technical jargon that might confuse you or that you might not know about. So without further ado, let's jump into this training video and learn more about audio equipment.
Let us first begin with what is a DI box. A DI box, or a direct insertion box, is a device that is used to convert high impedance signals found in instruments such as electric guitars, bass guitars, and synthesizer keyboards into a low impedance signal. A high impedance signal is generally unbalanced, and it needs to be converted into a balanced signal to accommodate either devices such as a mixing console, speaker, or even an audio interface. Some devices such as mixers and audio interfaces have DI boxes built in, selected into the first two channels of their consoles. However, it's not always referred to as a DI box. Sometimes it is referred to as a high Z input or an instrument input. That is it for what is a DI box. Let us now move on to the next section of this video. Let us now have a look at who and why somebody would use a DI box. Mainly, anybody that would like to convert an unbalanced signal to a balanced signal. Many unbalanced signals are very noisy and can cause damage to either the equipment or produce a very poor audio quality coming out of the audio source. An unbalanced signal can be found in instruments such as guitars and synthesizers. So, to avoid having noise in your audio source, having a DI box in between your equipment is very useful and very handy. Old school tape machines or tape recorders sometimes also have unbalanced signals. So, using a stereo DI box would also help create a balanced signal going out or into your mixing console. An added feature for a musician who would like to clean up their signal or use a DI box would be the amplification simulation. Some DI boxes have amplification simulation built into them, meaning the musician would be able to plug their guitar directly into the DI box, bypass an amplifier, and plug the guitar directly into the amplifier. Once they trigger the amplification simulation, they'll be able to hear what the guitar would sound like on different style amplification simulations. Just like the DI box shown on screen, which has an amplification simulation, which has a set standard amplification simulation. This is great for rehearsal purposes or for pre-production, without the need of traveling with a huge amplifier. That is it for who and why a DI box would be used. Let us now move on to the next section of this video. DI boxes mainly come in two types of configurations, mainly active and passive. We will now look at the differences between active and passive DI boxes. Passive DI boxes do not require a power source, meaning that all a passive DI box does is convert the impedance from a high impedance to a low impedance. Also, it gets rid of any unwanted noise. However, an active DI box requires either phantom power, which is transferred via the XLR cable, or it requires a battery to be inserted to power up the DI box. Active DI boxes include a preamplifier, meaning it will color the sound and it will in most cases it will color the sound of the incoming signal. Active DI boxes also handle low-level signals and increase the signal and make it sound a lot better than a passive DI box would. So, what does this mean to you, the end user? Well, if you're only looking at converting your signal without adding any color to it, then a passive DI box would be the one which you would look for. However, if you would like to color your signal, for example, add some amplification simulation, then a active DI box would be the ideal DI box for you. That is it for active versus passive DI boxes. Let us now move on to the next section of this video. I will now demonstrate how to connect a synthesizer keyboard into a mixing console using a DI box. I will first begin by connecting the output from the keyboard into the input of the DI box. Now that I've completed connecting the synthesizer into the DI box, I will now take the output from the DI box and plug it into a channel of the mixing console. Now that that is complete, I can adjust my levels and utilize the synthesizer with the DI box. That is it. I have now successfully connected the synthesizer to a mixing console utilizing a DI box. The process is the same with any other keyboard that requires a DI box, or an electric guitar or a bass guitar. That is it for how to connect a DI box. Let's now move on to the next section of this video.
Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you learned a lot and I hope you enjoyed it. If there was anything you didn't understand, feel free to drop me an email at the email address at the end of this video. Thank you once again for watching and I hope to see you again next time. Take care and bye-bye.